राग राम कली महला पंजमा पड़ताल कर तीजा एक ओंकार सतगुर प्रसाद नर्न हर नमस्कारं जलन थलन बसुध गगन एक एकंकारं रहाओ हरन तरन पुन पुनः करन नहीं गिरह निरंकारं गंभीर धीर नाम हीर ऊंच मूच अपारं करन केल गुण मोल नानक बलहारन. Let us salute to the virtuous one who is praiseworthy, being full of virtues, as the only one God sublime is pervading everywhere, including all lands, oceans, and skies. There is no other second power on par with him. Pause. The God has created this universe again and again, many times, and has sustained it. Then He's destroyed it also every time. He possesses no particular abode and does not depend on food for his existence, for his survival. That one divine God is formless, existing by himself in a state of serenity, being the highest and greatest power, whose true name is pure, like a jewel, a diamond. O Nanak, we offer ourselves as a sacrifice to such a God who has enacted this worldly drama and whose virtues are invaluable and beyond all description. राम कली महला पंजमा रूप रंग सुगंध भोग त्याग चले माया चले कनिक कामिनी रहाओ पंडार दरब अरब खरब पेख लीला मन सधारै नेह संग कामनी सुत कलत्र प्रात मीत उर्ज परयो परम मोहयो एह बेरख छामनी चरण कमल सरन नानक सुख संत पावनी. The worldly beauty, beautiful appearances, pleasant scents, with all the worldly pleasures, including gold, and beautiful people, they are all forms, the charm of Maya, worldly falsehood, which we have to leave behind after death. Pause. The mind, this human being, gets thrilled and enchanted on seeing this wealth in millions and billions, being unaccountable, along with all the worldly pleasures at his disposal. But none of these treasures can accompany this man after death to the next world. This woman gets engrossed in the love of children, spouse, siblings, friends, but does not realize their transient nature, like the shade of a tree, which is always shifting and not permanent or steady. O Nanak, people who have sought the support of lotus feet of holy saints have enjoyed the eternal bliss in the love and attainment of God sublime. Ik Onkar Sat Gur Prasad Rag Ram Kali Mahalla Noma Tippade Reman Otleo Har Nama जाके सिमरन दुर्मत नासै पावै पद निर्वाणा रहाओ बड़ पागी तह जन को जानो जो हर के गुण गावै जन्म जन्म के पाप खोए गए फुन बैकुंठ सिधावै. O my mind, let us take the support of God's true name that would bring us salvation, the state of bliss and equipoise, by reciting true name and by casting away all our vicious thoughts and vices. Pause. People who sing the praises of God, they are truly praiseworthy, being fortunate and predestined by God's will. Such people attain the heaven, God's presence, by getting rid of sins of various ages. अचामल को अंत काल में नारायण सुध आई, जागत को जुगी सर बाछत सोगत छिन में पाई। नाहिन गुण नाहिन कछ विद्या, तरम कौन गज कीना, नानक बिरद राम का देखो, अभय दान ते दीना। Ajamal, the sinner, managed to remember and worship God by developing love for his son called Narayan at the time of his death, at the end of his life, and attained the highest state of salvation in a moment, a status which greatest yogis like Shiva have been seeking since long. O Nanak, the elephant in distress possessed neither any virtuous studies nor any virtuous deeds, but look at God's grace, who bestowed salvation on him and united him with himself. Let us take the support of God like Ajamal and the elephant. Ram Kali Mahalla Noma Sadhu कौन जुगत अब की जय, जाते दुर्मत सगल पिनासै, राम भगत मन पीजय। राव मन माया में उलझ रहो है, भूजय ने कछ ज्ञाना, कौन नाम जग जाके सिमरै, पावै पद निर्वाणा। O holy saints, what means should we adopt, what actions to perform to rid ourselves of vicious thoughts and sinful actions, and instead we get imbued in the heart with the love of God's true name, His worship. Pause. O saints, the mind is completely engrossed in Maya, worldly falsehood, and does not realize or recognize any spiritual knowledge worth attaining. I pray to tell me some method, some means by which we could recite God's true name and attain salvation, the highest state of bliss. भई दयाल कृपाल संत जन, तभी बात बताई, सर्व धर्म मानो तह किए, जय प्रभु कीरत गाई। राम नाम नर निस्बासुर में, निमख एक और तारै, जम को त्रास मिटै नानक ते, अपनो जन्म सवारै। The holy and benevolent saints, when they bestowed their grace on us, explained this secret, that the person who sung the praises of Vaheguru has in fact performed all the religious obligations. O Nanak, the person who worships the God, recites true name, even for a moment during day, the 24 hours, by reciting true name, he casts away from his mind the fear of death, Yama, and makes a success of this human life, and goes to God's presence with flying colors. Ram Kali Mahalla Noma Prani Narayan Sudale छिन छिन औध कटै निसबासर, वृथा जात है देह। रहाओ तरनापो बिखियन स्यो, खोयो बालपन ज्ञाना, बिरध भयो अजू नहीं समझै, कौन कुमत रिझाना। O mortal, try to remember and worship the God by reciting true name, as this body is going to waste while the lifespan is dwindling fast and approaching its end. Pause. The childhood was spent in complete ignorance, while the youth has been wasted engrossed in vicious thoughts and sinful actions. O foolish human, now the old age has dawned on you, but you have not realized your duties. Why are you so engulfed in foolish cleverness and self-mindedness without appreciating the truth? मानस जन्म दियो जय ठाकुर, सोते क्यों बिसरायो, मुकत होत नर जाके सिमरै, निमग्नता को गायो। माया को मद कहा करत है, संग न काहू जाई, नानक कहत चेत चिंता मन, हुए है अंत सहाय। O mortal, why have you forgotten the God who had blessed you with this human life? You have not sung His praises, recited God's true name even for a moment, whose true name could grant you salvation. O man, why are you so egoistic about this worldly falsehood which is not likely to accompany you after death? O Nanak, try to remember the God alone, who is like the fountainhead of all treasures and will be your supporter at the end of this life. राम कली महला पहला, अष्टपदियाँ एक ओंकार, सतगुर प्रसाद, सोई चंद चढ़े सितारे, सोई दिन अरत पत रहे, सातरती सो पौण चुलारे, जुग जी खेले थाव कैसे, जीवन तलब निवार, होवे परवाणा करे तियाणा, कल लखण विचार रहाओ। The same moon which is used to shine in the Satyug, Treta and Dwapar yugs is shining in the sky during the present age of Kal Yug, and the same stars, including the same sun, throws its heat and warmth in this age. The same earth is there, and the same air is blowing and whistling around, whereas the human beings are playing their role in various ages. The present age of Kal Yuga is also passing through the same environments. There is no other place for the Kal Yuga which we could describe. O brother, let us get rid of desire of leading a longer span of life. The signs and symptoms of Kal Yuga are that the person with strength and thirst seems to be doing better than the others in this age, or the person causing suffering to the poor and helpless people are flourishing during this age. Pause. कितै देस न आया सुनिए, तीरथ पास न बैठा, दाता दान करे तहि नाही, महल उसार न बैठा, जे को सत करे सो सीजै, तप कर तप न होई, जे को नाउ ले बदनावी, कल के लखण जिस सिकदारी तिसई खुआरी, चाकर के डरना, जा सिकदारै पवै जंजीरी, ता चाकर हथों मरना। We have not heard that Kal Yuga is prevalent in some other countries or is abiding near the holy places. This Yuga is not seen to be existing at a place where the benefactors are giving alms to poor. The signs of Kal Yuga are that if someone makes a promise to speak the truth, it cannot be fulfilled, and if someone decides to perform penance, then one is not successful at his home. If someone recites true name, then that person is vilified by slanderers. These are the signs of Kal Yuga. Person who becomes rich gets defamed also, as the worker slave is not afraid of anyone, but when the landlord is caught in chains by the king, then he faces death at the hands of the slave. आँख गुणा कल आये, तह जुग केरा रहया, तपावस जे गुण दे तां पाये, राव कल कल वाली सरानी बेड़ी, काजी कृष्णा हुआ, बाणी ब्रह्मा बेदर्थ बण, करणी कीरत लहया, पत विण पूजा सत विण संजम, जत विण काहे जनेऊ, नावो तो तिलक चढ़ावो, सोच विण सोच न होई. Let us sing the praises of God as the age of Kalyug has arrived. The things, practices prevailing during the previous 3 ages, like speaking truth, have been discarded, but one could attain salvation only through singing God's praises if he so desires. Pause. In this age of Kalyug, the law of vicious actions is prevalent. The authorities of justice are taking bribes. Even the details mentioned in Atharvan Veda, according to God of Brahma, are full of wrangles and jargon, saying that saints engaged in virtuous deeds like singing God's praises have enjoyed bliss and peace. What is use of this worship when one's honor is not maintained, or one gets honored because of good deeds but truth is not spoken? What is the use of wearing sacred thread if one cannot maintain celibacy? People take bath at holy places wearing pure and clean clothes along with marks on the forehead, but without pure thoughts and meditation, the purity of mind cannot be achieved. कल परवान कतेब कुरान, पोथी पंडित रहे पुराण, नानक नाउ भया रहमान, कर करता तू एको जान. नानक नाम मिले वड्याई, ए तू ऊपर करम नहीं, जे कर हो दे मंगण जाइए, फिर ओलामा मिले तही. In this age of Kalyug, Muslims are considered superior, powerful. Hindus lead the life of helplessness, as Kitab and Quran are accepted as religious books. No one recognizes the Pandits reading Shastras or Puranas, the Hindu books of lore. O Nanak, the name of God according to Muslims is known as Rahman. O brother, but the God creator of both the Hindus and Muslims is the same Supreme God. O Nanak, during Kalyug one gets acclaim by reciting God's true name, and there is no greater or higher practice than this true name. So why we are discarding true name and wasting this life in fruitless and useless acts, just as one should go begging when everything is available at home? Who would get the blame except the person who is begging?